This is the last point, the last speaker, that to achieve the kind of changes we need lots of sort of ad hoc changes on the ground. We need sort of deeper structural changes to do with policy and to do with, with governance and with the economic structure, as Crispin was saying. But underneath all that, we need a change of attitude to life, really, a different way of looking at the world, because otherwise, why are we bothering? And this is why we've asked Christopher Jones of the Arthur Rank place in National, whatever it is, Agricultural Centre in Stoneleigh, who deals with this kind of matter, to talk to us for 5 minutes on what I would like to call the metaphysics of agriculture. Thank you.
5 minutes. I practiced this in front of the bedroom mirror this morning. Bedroom mirror was quite impressed, but it took 6 minutes, but I've cut some out. Colin talked about the present way of doing things, trying to bend and squeeze the earth and crops and so on. It also tries to bend and squeeze people, or even clear them. And that messes people up. It's also wrong. And it's this kind of thing which led 15 years ago to an effort which worked to create something called Farm Crisis Network, which was to try and support people who were being bent and squeezed and stuck. And that's a story in itself. In 1962, I visited the deep south of the United States, where the beginnings of the civil rights movement were going on. Now, racial injustice has horrible effects. In the long term, it doesn't work. It's based on deep-rooted belief that is ideology and idolatry and hokum. Does it sound familiar in terms of what we've been talking about this afternoon? Idolatry, ideology, and hokum. And I went to hear Martin Luther King talking in church in Atlanta, and the early stages of a campaign that would lead, tragically, to his own death, but also to Barack Obama in the White House. And the congregation was boisterous and full of hallelujahs and so on, until he came to the nub of his sermon. And he said, ending racial justice for God's sake is essential, righteous, and leads to peace and justice. Doing it for its own sake leads to a new idolatry, and I would add enmity, bitterness, and conflict. The congregation became pretty quiet. And I thought over this in the intervening, I don't like to think how many years. And when the Farm Crisis Network was struggling into existence, we had also to think why we were doing this, which profoundly affects how you do it. And we came to the same conclusion as Martin Luther King. Now, when I came to this conference last year, there were all kinds of exciting stories about things that were happening in farming, and there are a lot of other exciting stories. People are really trying to do what Colin is talking about, thinking about it in new ways, taking new lines, new approaches, in spite of everything that is against them. And recently I was at a conference about care farming, and that is something radically different and exciting, and recognizing all the human realities around life and farming. But my plea is that we recognize the role and importance of underlying belief, that we dig deep, Colin's phrase, and plant roots for what we're doing in real truth and real reality, and not produce, in 20, 30 years' time, the next load of hope.